Welcome to Off the Cut, episode 135 for Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, where the best place to buy tools on the internet is still KM Tools.
KM Tools. I was gonna say something different this week. I was gonna be like woodpecker tools. No, wait, that's not right.
No. We can't give them any free publicity. Jonathan is the only tool company that's sponsoring this podcast. That's because it's for woodworkers by woodworkers.
By woodworkers. There you go. You forgot their slogan for a second.
No, I was trying to think of a better segue, and I was like, I'm just going to get right into it. And what does that mean, Zach? What's that mean?
Well, that means that their store is completely packed full of products that either they design themselves or it's stuff that they actually use in their own workshop. Because if it's in their store, it's on their floor. That's the tagline, right?
What do you mean sales floor? You don't want it to be on the shop floor.
Yeah.
Floor, it means it sucks, right?
Yeah. Or no, if
because if you get a chisel and then you leave the chisel on the floor, you're like, it's chisel sucks.
Yes, that would be bad. That would be bad.
It's on the sales floor, you know.
But you know what's good?
Is that a portion of all their proceeds go directly towards the Cats Moses Woodworkers with Disabilities Fund?
You're damn right.
Yeah.
Damn right.
And you know what else is good?
The fact that every single month he gives us $50 to give away to our patrons.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fly.
And just like, 2 weeks ago, last week, I don't remember. Mike Cupo was one. Yeah. The $50 gift card to KM Tools. And if you want to win that, all you have to do is go over to patreon.com/offthecutpodcast, sign up for any tier to support the show, and you will automatically get entered to win that gift card, as well as tons of other perks, including the after show, which is an entire another podcast right after this one.
Yeah, it's more raunchy. It's more X-rated, if you will. Yeah. We swear in that one. Although I think I've already sworn a couple times this week. By the way, Mike Cupo, let us know what you end up using the gift card for. I always find that interesting when people write in and tell us what they got with the gift card.
Yeah. Hopefully not chisels that you're going to leave on the floor.
No. Or if you do, make sure you have those like soft, squishy tile things for your floor so that it doesn't get damaged. Yeah. But still, probably not the best place to keep your chisels.
Or just turn them into glue scrapers.
That's true.
But that's the only. Or see, here's my evolution of chisels.
Mm-hmm.
I get chisels, and Zach, we know the chisels that you buy. I get the Harbor Freight chisels or something cheap. Mm-hmm. I get them sharp once, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna be a chisel guy now, right?
Yeah, my life has forever changed. I am a chisel guy.
I blow off a little wood, knock off a couple corners. You're like, that's pretty satisfying. You get why people like hand tools, and then I inevitably don't sharpen them.
Yes,
and they stop working. Yeah, no one sharpens them. They stop working for the woodworking purposes. So then I'm like, well, this has still got a little guts to it. It's now going to be my glue scraper, like you alluded to there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then once it stops scraping glue, do you know what it becomes now?
Paint can opener.
You're damn right it does. You're damn right it does.
Or a pry bar.
That it won't scrape glue.
Oh, baby, you haven't seen my chisels.
Yeah.
And then once it stops opening up a can of paint,
you
just got to get rid of her.
Lawn dart.
Yeah, lawn dart. Yeah.
See, Zach, I know your chisel game comes from as soon as it never touches wood, but as soon as it stops scraping glue, it's straight to the trash.
That's right. I actually sell them for scrap a lot of the time.
Take them to the pawn shop.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, meat and potatoes, we're back. You're back from vacation. You had a full day of work. What you been working on?
Today I was in the shop. I was finishing. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast yet, but I'm building a big ass subwoofer. So so I finished making that today. Brought it home. Oh, I didn't finish it. So I've built the subwoofer, but now I'm going to go back. And so the first half of the video is going to be building the subwoofer. Then I'm going to go in, I'm going to modify it, and I'm going to make it wireless. so that it can connect to my AV receiver without having any cords running between it. So that's like the back half of the video is I got these little wireless transceivers that I'm going to like modify and integrate inside of it.
Like a Raspberry Pi, or do you do directly to the circuit board of a
I'll do it direct. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to steal the audio signal coming that, like, basically normally the way it would work is you would plug in an RCA cable to connect it to this, to your audio visual receiver. And basically I got a wireless transmitter for RCA cables. So I'm just going to open it up, crack it open, solder some wires to the points that you would normally connect the cables to, and do it internally so that it's all nice and clean. That way I don't have a dongle hanging out the backside of my wireless subwoofer.
Nobody likes a dongle hanging out the back.
No.
That's right. Nobody likes a dongle.
No. So tell me more about the wireless speakers. If I'm not mistaken, your current speaker setup is wired?
Yes.
Okay, so why is this? Okay. So do you want to transition all of your speakers to wireless?
Eventually, I would like to transition all of my speakers to be wireless because it sucks. You know, you're unless you're in a position where you can drill holes into your floor or in your ceiling, or you're a crazy person, you run them all under a giant carpet like I did. Then you end up in this position where you have wires all over the place. Like even mine, I've worked tirelessly to hide them as well as possible, but there's spots where you can kind of see them poking out and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I would like to have them all be completely wireless. So in the future, probably I'll start redoing some of the other ones as well.
So this is going to be a super nerdy question, but it's the first thing that came to mind, and I'm sure you know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Does running one wireless speaker and the rest of your speakers wired, does that introduce latency where like the speakers are going to be not firing at the correct time?
It's a good question. So it's a subwoofer. So I think a little bit of latency would probably be undetectable as long as it's in the 10 to 20 millisecond range, 10 to 20 millisecond range. And the other thing is I'm using a 2.4 gigahertz wireless signal, which is kind of one of the fastest standards that you could get. It should have very minimal latency, and also the distance it's covering is also like 5 feet. So if there is any latency, it should be as minimal as possible. And then I might also be able to dial in a little bit of compensation in my AV receiver. I might be able to kind of retard the timing. Technical term there. I'm not being derogatory. No. I might be able to retard the timing on the other speakers so that they all line up.
So I used to be into the home theater stuff, and I know my receiver had like a microphone thing that you would like set up on a tripod in a room.
Yes.
And it like calibrates,
yes,
the latency and how if one speaker needs to be louder than the other and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's part of the calibration process too.
I will definitely recalibrate I'll have to recalibrate the whole room, in order to do that. So you may very well be right. I don't know if that takes timing into account. It might not. So it'll be interesting.
I don't know.
See. Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe I'll try and cover that in the video.
But it's probably so minimal that like, does it really matter?
I mean, if it were audio dialogue, I think it'd be a little bit more important. But like it's big bass hits, like we're talking about the lowest frequencies. Like if it's, and we're not even going to be, even in a worst case scenario, we're not even going to be anywhere close to like one frame out of alignment with what's being displayed on the screen. So I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. But I'll let you know.
Is this a perfect example of people wasting too much time and brain calories and obsessing over something that doesn't matter, though?
Might very well be, yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun to
think about. I think chasing the perfection is, like honestly, what's the point of building your own subwoofer? It's because you're chasing perfection. I could go buy one from the store. It probably be 99% as good, but it wouldn't be. It's not as fun.
It's the thrill of the chase.
Yeah, it's the thrill of the chase. Yeah,
it'd be way cheaper too.
Oh yeah,
especially when you factor in your time.
I think the subwoofer by the time it's all said and done, I had to buy 2 sheets of MDF, bunch of board foot of walnut, and then the components. This is probably gonna be $1,000 subwoofer by the time I'm done with it.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
So what's like a high end, like
That's a good question.
speaker? I don't even know who makes speakers anymore. Like
Klipsch should be a good.
Klipsch?
They're a good subwoofer brand. Well, that's about something comparable off the shelf would probably be pretty close in terms. Like a Klipsch 12-inch subwoofer looks like it runs about $800, and that doesn't have the wireless functionality or anything like that.
Sure.
So yeah.
But then factor in your time. You know what I mean? Like you're probably put 80 hours of work into this thing.
Yeah, probably something like that by the time it's all said and done.
But it's fun, right?
I'm curious to get your input on this. I'm thinking about making
a speaker joke. Speaker fun.
I'm thinking about making my first set of plans for this project.
Ooh.
But it's kind of niche. Like, how many people are going to build a big 12-inch subwoofer, right? I feel like my time might be better spent make it, like entry-level speakers would be the ideal thing to make a set of plans for, right?
What does your set of plans offer that they wouldn't know already?
So the internal design of a subwoofer is actually kind of tricky. There's like when it's ported. So basically, there's 2 ways you can make subwoofers. You can make them ported, or you can make them sealed. And ported ones have to be designed in a very specific way because that port is actually like a secondary diaphragm that also helps it. So I spend a lot of time dialing in the shape and the internal tuning of the box in order to make it sound as good as possible. So I could kind of hang my hat on that as being kind of unique to mine.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me pitch you this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the Fusion model already made?
Of course.
Okay. Send it to Brett.
Yeah.
Do you know Brett Cope?
I remember we met at Workbench.
Yeah. He's done plans for me. He does plans for Jason Hibbs. He does it for Keith Johnson. He does it for Michael Alm. Does it for tons of other people. Dude, his plans are fantastic. They're great.
Okay.
And you can literally just send him the Fusion model, and then he's like, "Oh, do you have like the video?" Even if you send him the rough draft for the video or whatever, he'll take it and run.
Okay. Now, but let me ask you this. Is it stupid to make this set of plans? Because like I just said.
Okay, that's the question you're asking.
Yeah.
This is $1,000 speaker approximately. What is going to be my uptake? And there's not really a lot of room to cost it down because it's designed around specific components.
Yeah.
So that's why.
But it's also customizable. And like you said, it's the pursuit, not necessarily the execution that you're after.
Yeah.
And anybody willing to buy those plans would be the same. They would be after that pursuit of making it, not necessarily just having it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, let's say 250,000 people watch this video.
Sure.
What slice of them? It's not going to be 1%. It's not even going to be 0.1% is going to want to actually build the thing.
Respectfully, I would say it's under 20 people.
Yeah. So now I'm wondering, I make a set of plans for $15 or whatever it is. Upside $300. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
What if you just put out a feeler, like on your site, put a listing for the plans? That doesn't cost you anything.
A pre-order.
And
pre-order.
say coming soon. Click this or whatever to get notified when it becomes available, and see if you get any hits off of that. And if you don't get anything for a couple weeks or whatever, maybe it's not worth it, and just delist it.
Yeah.
But then does it suck? Like hypothetically speaking, right? You have 4 people.
Yeah, you're like, oh, do I do this? Like, is it worth it for? So part of me is thinking, yeah, and part of me is also thinking like, I also would like to. I'm trying to build out a catalog of digital products. So is it worth it just from the sense of like, just see what it takes to make a set of plans and kind of like introduce my audience to this idea that I'm going to sell more digital products on the site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of liken it to the plans that I put out. So I have ones that blew me out of the water with expectations. And I still have a lot of plans that, dude, I have never sold one.
Right. Right.
But I mean, I couldn't have predicted that. Like, there's some where I'm like, I mean, this seems like a pretty run of the mill project. I feel like a lot of people would like it. No one. And it'd be a video that does, over 100,000 views and no one downloads the plans.
Really? So what do you think then makes for a good, like, what is there some sort of through line that you can weave between your most successful plans?
For me, the most successful ones are something that reaches the most people's needs. So, like, if we're just talking strictly woodworking, what do most people struggle with? Shop stuff, right? Not a specific coffee table or a specific bookcase or whatever. People are like, I'm a woodworker. I'm watching your stuff. Oh, I saw you built this project that makes woodworking easier. I'm in.
Yeah.
What percentage? So your audience is somebody who just really enjoys being entertained by building, creating, making some tech endeavors and stuff like that. The amount of people who are actually potentially going to build that might be pretty low. But we don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah. See, I think putting on my thinking hat again, I think the ideal set of plans would be like an entry level set of speakers that anybody could build. But I also don't want to then build entry level speakers because I've already, got like this whole sound system that I would have no use for them essentially, right? So,
I almost imagine your audience with the perfect thing. Like we've all seen Mark Rober's videos, right?
Yeah.
That like crunch box thing that he does, where it's like a subscription box that you get like these little mini science projects that you like build and create little gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that.
Interesting.
I could almost see your audience being into something like that, where like a Raspberry Pi comes out. You get a Raspberry Pi, you get a little video that teaches you how to like code it. And then you like something like that. Obviously that's a huge lift.
I know. And I'm wondering, like, I've actually have Mark Rober's website pulled up here. I'm like, this guy must be partnering with some company that's doing it all. And then he's just kind of supplying the ads for it. But still very interesting.
But you get why I say that?
Because I definitely do. Because I've transitioned more to this space of entertainment rather than instructional content, right? So
it's like, how can somebody be entertained, but almost how can they bring your content into their home or their life?
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Even if they don't have skill, like even if they're not looking to actually like build anything, how can they bring a little bit of it into the home? Interesting.
It's tough because, like, let's say you did this thing where like, okay, I'm going to send you a Raspberry Pi. I'm going to send you an HDMI cable. I'm going to send you solder and this and that. And I'm going to send you a flash, like a SD card loaded with all these different games. That, take out the legality of it. That would be a sweet product where somebody could basically make their own retro console, but you can't do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that would be a huge hit.
Yeah. Well, maybe I just need to find the right partner or something.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something to explore though. Like, do you think that we're kind of hitting it on the head of like the ideal product that would work?
I think it's close. I think the problem with something like that would obviously be the legality thing that you hit on, but also the fact that would be a fairly high ticket item. Like
several $100s.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big ask from somebody who watches your content.
You'd
I
want it
think
under $75.
exactly. I think the lower the better, and that's why the digital files are so good. But again, the problem I run is that most people are watching for entertainment, not to actually build the things themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we could get some marketing person and just be
Yeah.
like, hey, do a full audit of our stuff and be like, here's the product you need.
Yes. Yeah.
But so
How well
what
do
I
your
find
plans sell normally?
how much
Mine?
the plans sell?
Yeah. How well do they sell normally?
It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing. My plans sold significantly better when my channel was smaller.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, I guess that makes sense. The wider you grow your audience, the more you're there just for entertainment rather than
Yeah.
instructional content. Because probably early on, the way people found you was like, oh, I need to build a bench.
Sure.
Thumbnails, like, see this guy's photo of a bench. Oh, that looks like a nice bench. I'll watch this video, right? Like, that's kind of early discovery. But
So
these days,
I'm going to pull up Shopify right now. And let's see, I don't know how to do this. In the last 30 days, I've made $342.
okay.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take it. If you're going to write me a check for $342 a month, I'll take it all day. But like,
Yeah.
are you retiring off that? Hell no.
No. But again, it's, I'm sure you have some months that are better than others too, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Plus
The last
game is many buckets.
right. The last 12 months is $4,700.
Okay.
So, I mean, enough to have made it worth my time to make them, but like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of those, I'm sure, aren't things that you put out in the last month or so. Those are a lot of that, I would imagine, is
Older ones. Yeah.
plans. Yeah.
Yeah.
That evergreen again.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's the evergreen stuff that people come. And I tell you, my biggest mistake still was putting so many damn plans out for free.
No.
Right. Early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the last 30 days, I've had 311 orders. But orders could consist of free plans.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Okay.
So let's just say if it was $311 times $20, that's $6,200.
Mm-hmm.
So you're potentially losing out on almost $6,000 a month by giving away plans for free. But you also don't know if that's a loss leader that people are like, oh, this plan was pretty good. I'm okay with paying for another one now. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, the plans game. I don't know. Like I was talking to Scott Walsh on the weekend, and he makes a decent amount of money just from selling plans for workbenches, and his is like he knows he's trying to court beginner woodworkers.
Yes.
So his best-selling plans are like beginner workbenches for people because every woodworker needs a workbench when they first start out.
I know. See, then I run into this struggle of like, let's say I wanted to make plans a huge part of my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would then, to be able to sell them, have to market them. Or to market them, I would have to make a video.
Yeah.
I don't know how well for me a super, super beginner workbench thing would go over in the content, which then would mean it wouldn't get marketed super well.
Right. See,
and I don't want to build that.
This is kind of the I'm back to this, like I know the best thing to do would be to make basic speakers, like entry-level speakers, and sell plans for those, right? But I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
What about this? And hear me out. I've seen a lot of cooking channels do this, and like sciencey channels doing it, and some woodworking channels. I think Malecki does it. A 3 levels video.
Yeah. That is, I have done that in the past, but then you got to build 3 projects or already have 2 of them done. But I do like that. Like, that there is something to that. there is definitely something to that. Or you can have like I could start with like a set of speakers and be like, now, if I wanted to just stop here and plug them in, I could, but I'm going to go this extra step and do this thing, this thing.
Yeah.
So
I think, honestly, your audience would enjoy like a 3 levels of speaker build or 3 levels of retro console build or something like that.
Yeah.
And you could incorporate plans for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually... you know what I should have done is I should have made plans when I did my compilation video of my speaker builds, but
well, so I was going to ask this, right? So now you're making the subwoofer, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to release another compilation that basically just has the subwoofer appended?
It's a subwoofer, yeah. I wonder. I mean, maybe a couple years from now, I might also then delete the other compilation.
How was the compilation doing, by the way?
Good. Last time I checked, it had like 250,000 views.
Yeah, so. Hell yeah.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. And that was like in the first 10 days or something like that. So yeah,
can't
pretty
complain.
Good. Pretty good. I mean, for reused content, like there was very like, as you know, like very minimal people complaining about it being reused content. Like maybe like 2 or 3 people said something. And some of the people were even happy. They were like, did I watch all of these when they initially launched? Yes. Did I also watch them all again? Also, yes.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, the proof's in the pudding. If it got several 100,000 views, I think you did something right there. Right?
Yeah.
If it bombed and got like 20,000, you would go, that was a miss.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we won't be doing that again. Yeah, so
I hear you.
We'll see. Maybe wait another 6 months. Maybe I'll do another compilation video. We'll see.
So you got the subwoofer build going. Mm-hmm. Are you working on anything else at the same time, or do you have something else lined up afterwards?
I have so many goddamn Instagram partnerships that I have to film. So tomorrow I'm going to be out in my backyard rebuilding my fence, rebuilding my fence for an Instagram partnership that I have to
holding the drill up to the fence that's already built.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have another project. I think I talked about it on the podcast. Maybe I'm working on a modern, quote unquote, PSP, which was the PlayStation Portable.
Yeah.
So I got about halfway through that project, and then I got an offer to have Bamboo Labs sponsor a video. So I'm waiting. They're going to send me one of their printers that they want me to promote, the A1, which is kind of their more entry level one. So I'm actually it is kind of ugly looking. It's on one hand, it's cool. It's like it's very busy, right? Especially with like the multi-material system that attaches to it. It's pretty wild. So once that comes, then I'm going to restart that project and then complete it using the new Bamboo Labs thing.
I have wanted to pitch stuff to Bamboo.
Yeah,
but they sent me some printers, and they're just like, "Yeah, can you make a little like video for us in exchange?" And I was like, "Yeah." But then I started moving, and they keep on going, "Hey, when are you going to get to that?" And I'm like, "It's going to be a few months."
Yeah.
But I did finally. Hold on, do I go this way? This way? Can I? I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, hey, she's in the background.
Printing corner.
My Prusa printer, something was going on with it. It was driving me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it was, to be honest with you. And I was just like, oh, screw it. I don't have time to figure this out. I just opened up the Bamboo one. Dude, Bamboo one's nice.
Bamboo one's nice. It's pretty good.
Especially with the little spool changey color dealio.
Yeah. You should try some multi-material prints and just watch it like switch between them.
It's fun. Dude, I have. It adds a tremendous amount of work time when you change materials.
And waste too. It's because it's got to purge out all the filament that's in the lines. So
yeah. But isn't there a way that you can like actually have it purge like inside your model and stuff like that?
There is, and you can have like a purge tower too. Like, so if you don't want to purge it in the model, but you don't want it to come out the back, you can have like a little tower. I haven't played around with that too much.
But overall, we're really happy with that thing for sure. Had one issue where some filament broke off inside the fan that's cooling the hot end, but I just Googled it. And somebody was like, "Oh yeah, just like take the hot end off and then inside the fan." I was like, "Oh, there it is, done."
Yeah, that happens from time to time. But overall, and that's why I actually accepted a lower rate than I probably would have from any other company, because I was like, I just love the Bamboo printers so much. I'm like, I'm willing to, like I want to build that partnership. I want to work with them because I think the product is so good.
They are the company that once you start talking to them, they like the girl that I'm talking to is just like, if you need anything else, just let me know. Like, I think they're like, if you need another machine, if you need filament, if you need whatever, like they don't care.
Yeah, I think they want to get their product out there and have it just seen by as many people as possible.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get that thing rolling. I printed off. I was putting up additional lights in the shop. In the garage. And like those little plastic, have you seen like the T5 LED bulbs?
Sure. Like the long skinny ones, right? Yeah.
They had these like little steel, aluminum, metal sort of like spring-loaded bracket thing. And you put the light up in there.
I think the technical term for that is a tombstone.
Okay, a tombstone, sure.
Yeah. I learned that when I was redoing the lights in my shop.
And the problem is they're either unbelievably tight and impossible to get on to the point that you like smash them, or they're so loose that if you look at the light, it just falls out of it.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like,
aren't you supposed to like put it in and then rotate it and then it like clicks in?
Yeah, but
even when you rotate it, it's still so loose that it can fall out.
Yeah, it was driving me bananas. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. And I was going on Amazon. And I was like, oh, these ones are like bigger or whatever. And I was like, Eric, what are you doing?
I could design a better holder.
3D print it.
Yeah, totally.
So I just 3D printed 1 million of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I find myself missing out on the fact that I have a 3D printer. Like not even thinking about it.
It's easy to forget. It's one of those things people always ask me, they're like, why do you have so many 3D printers in your house? And it's like, well, it's things like that. And that's kind of like hard to explain to a normie when you're talking to like, your wife's friend at dinner or something like that. It's like, well, I was installing T5 bulbs in my ceiling and I needed a better clip. So I just designed one in Fusion and then printed it out.
Yeah, but then like, okay, you go to do that and then you're like, oh shit, well, I also need explicit. I need to also print out this dust collection fitting and then this and that. And you're like, oh, I gotta wait several hours until it's done. Or I could just print it on the other machine.
Yeah.
Like, are my machines running all the time? Hell no. But there are definitely times like earlier a couple of days ago, they were both running at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
There's
been I can't even count the number of times when I've definitely used the capacity of both printers and I almost wish I had a third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the X1 carbon thing with the filament AMS, thank you. And then I also got the P1. What's the higher end P1?
The P1P or the P1S?
I don't know. It's enclosed. It's a fully enclosed one.
I think that's the P1S then. Okay. I think. I could be wrong about that though.
I got the P1S with the AMS as well, but I haven't opened it.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking when I get this new one from Bamboo, so when I get the A1, we'll see. I might sell one of my X1 carbons, but keep the AMS.
Ooh.
And then that way because you can chain them together. So I could have 8 materials being fed into a single machine and then keep the mini as like my secondary printer.
Oh, and they're pushing the mini one pretty hard right now, so you might want to hang on to it anyway.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like other partnerships, and I also maybe have another Creality one in the mail sometime soon.
Oh,
yeah.
You're gonna have a whole wall of 3D printers. You're gonna have to make like a double-decker tier system.
Oh, I know. Well, I'll just clear out some space on the old desk behind me and put it up there. Oh yeah, maybe I could 3D print some wall mounts for my 3D printers.
Now you're
I'll make
talking.
like big French cleats and just hang them on the wall.
You know what you need, like at the dry cleaners, where they have that little like a rack that like takes it off. You got to get one of those printers. Oh, that's too funny. You got to store your furs for a long period of time. Feel like, I don't need this one right now. All right, I gotta say something.
Mm-hmm.
I have a newfound respect. Not that I didn't have respect for these individuals, but a newfound respect for people that hang drywall all day, every day.
You've been doing some drywall?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. It's awful.
What did you find hard about it? What was the worst part?
So the first thing was on one of, okay, I'm not doing this up to code because code's stupid.
Well, code is 5/8.
5/8.
Yeah.
One of my walls was partially done in 5/8 because it met up to the interior, right? So it's like the garage goes halfway into the interior of the house. So to make it up to code, they put 5/8 and didn't finish it, right?
Sure.
So on that, the rest of that wall, I had to put 5/8, or else you had this like awkward like wave in the middle of the wall.
Yep.
Dude, a 4x8, and I was gonna take your advice of like, oh, dude, get the 12-foot sheets or 10-foot sheets or whatever.
Yeah.
I looked up the weight. Not a
5/8. What is it? It's like 80 pounds.
A 4x8 sheet of 5/8 drywall is 96. I think 80 or 85 pounds.
Ooh.
And so I'm like humping this thing up, trying to get it up, and I'm talking about the drywall.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, dude, this is because not only you're trying to get it all the way up to the ceiling, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're trying to like make sure that's like pushed in the corners and all this stuff. One of the corners is dropping, and then you're trying to brace it with one arm while you get your drywall gun to fire a couple in. And I'm like, dude, fuck this.
So the hack I used to do is I would do the lower row first, right?
See,
like the one that
I looked it up online. Everybody's you got to start with the top.
I don't know why everybody insists. I see a lot of people saying like doing it that way, but I always started with the bottom, and then because you get the first sheet in, and then you can lean the next sheet on top of it.
Right.
And I did not hundreds, but I definitely did dozens of houses like that, and never had an issue.
Yeah, it was I don't know. It definitely, put me in my place. I was like, this is tough work, man.
Yeah.
And then
half inch, not so bad.
No, half inch, you're definitely like, ooh, okay, gotta get it supported. And you're like, okay, I'm there. Boom, 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 zip it. And you're like, okay, now I can let go of it.
Yeah.
That was challenging. Also, cutting it was a challenge. And I will say this only because I basically moved all of my stuff into the interior. So I didn't have a full walkway where I could like set the sheet on the floor. I kind of had to
you don't set it on the floor. You lean it up against the wall like 10 degrees, right?
Yeah. And that's what I did.
And then you get a big T-square and you just slide it along the top of the piece of drywall. And then you score it down with a knife.
Yeah.
And then you break it over your knee.
Cut it again.
And then cut the backside.
But ripping the drywall was more challenging.
That's a little bit more of an advanced technique. But what you do is you get the T-square. Say you want to take 2 inches off. You brace, exactly. You brace your knife against the T-square, and then you slide it along the top of the sheet of drywall.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I was doing. But you're naturally going to get like a little wave undulation when you do that. Yeah,
it's not going to be perfect. It'll with a little bit of practice, you get pretty good at it, and then the rest you just take out with the plaster. You fix with the plaster.
Yeah. So if you got an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch gap between stuff, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Generally, when I was when I was doing a lot of drywall back in the day, I'd take a measurement and then I would subtract like a 1/4 inch or something like that, knowing that you could then fill that in with plaster afterwards.
That was also one of my problems, is I was like, okay, this is like 14 7/16. And I was like, damn it, I can't get it in. And then
Yeah.
I would just take like the recip saw or like a sandpaper and just like sand the hell out of it till it got in. And then I was like, oh my God, this is a nightmare to do. And then I started only working in like 1/4 inch increments, which made it so much easier.
Yes. Yeah, you don't need the precision of like an 1/8 when you're working drywall.
No. So like if you look at it right now, it doesn't look great because you're like, oh, there's a 1/4 inch gap here. That's like a 3/8 inch gap here. It's tight here. But like,
yeah, it always looks like crap until you start putting the actual plaster up on the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the cutting. It was a little bit of a challenge and humping it up on the wall. And then, dude, cutting the outlets was a pain in the ass too. I know there's so many different tricks for it.
I used to just drywall right over the outlets. And I would mark where they were. So I'd take a pencil, I'd go around the room, I would mark where all the outlets are on the floor or, somewhere where it wasn't really going to matter later. Then I would drywall over the outlets, and then I would use a rotozip tool to cut the outlets out afterwards. You mark where the center of the hole is, you poke the rotozip through, you scoot to the outside, and then you trace along the outside edge, and then the drywall just sits down over it perfectly.
So once you rotozip it, it then kind of like finishes going flush all the way to the stud there. So you just don't put all your screws all the way up to the...
Exactly. I would put the piece in place. I put like 4 screws in it.
Oh.
Like, like 2, 1 in every corner, let's say, if the outlet was in the center. And then I probably wouldn't even sink them in all the way. And then I would cut out the outlet, tighten the 4 screws, and then proceed to screw in the rest of the board.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's so many different ways you could do it. My thing is I already had the outlets already wired up. So I was like, I really don't want to go and like undo all the wires, take the
you had like the
plug was already
in there. Oh yeah. So you have to do that annoying thing where you loosen it, you measure where it is, you cut the hole, and you like kind of like tilt it forward and then slot it over.
It was so annoying. Annoying.
I used to do it that way back in the day, but then I found the rotozip method. But you're right, it is a pain in the ass if you already have all the outlets all wired up already.
Right. So I got that done. And then what was the other thing? That Festool's drywall gun, dude. Oh my God.
It's nice.
You just go zzz, zzz,
yeah
zzz, done. Now it wasn't perfect because if you take the gun and you're not perfectly perpendicular to the wall and you go at a slight angle, then it doesn't sink the screw in all the way, obviously.
Or it cams out of the screw and it makes the worst noise ever.
Yeah. So then I had to go back and manually take the impact and be like, get it in a little bit, which is kind of a pain. I also probably used way too many screws, but I was like, I don't know.
I think the schedule is like every 8 inches in the field, or maybe it's every 8 inches on the seam and then every 12 inches in the field or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably.
I used to try and do just 6 screws on every vertical stud, essentially, for assuming, if you're putting the boards horizontally.
Oh yeah, I did way more than that.
Yeah. Sorry.
I used almost 1,000 screws.
Okay.
In the garage.
Okay. So I think my method would be
2 walls.
Like 48 screws per board. Okay. So yeah, you're not too far off.
So I probably did about double. So I had about 11 sheets of drywall that I used, and I used about 1,000 screws.
Okay.
So that's probably double as many as I needed.
Yeah. That's all right though.
It is what
it's just really on there.
Yeah.
Some guy,
it's not going anywhere.
60 years, some guy's going to be doing demolition in there so he can renovate. He's going to be like, what was wrong with this guy? With somebody's screws.
I didn't even think about that. But doing the insulation was really not challenging at all.
That's good. Which do you use, the pink stuff or the rock wool?
I used the pink stuff because I was reading and it's like it didn't make a huge difference. Yeah. It's like it's cheap, it's readily available. I got stuff that already had it was faced already, so I already had the vapor barrier on the front of it. It's
Oh, interesting. Already, I haven't seen that product in a long time. They used to do that back in the day. There'd be like a wax paper on
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know they still sold that stuff. And
So I
then
was
what do you
like,
do? Do you like tape it to the joists?
no, I just stapled it all the way there.
Oh, it has like a little bit extra.
Yeah. Yeah, it has like an
okay,
overhang.
okay. Gotcha.
So I did that in there, and then I'll obviously do the ceiling. I'll insulate the ceiling up in the attic afterwards and stuff like that. Not too concerned about that, but
Yeah.
so tomorrow I got to go pre-fill all the gaps.
Yes.
And then tape all the gaps.
Well, what I would do is I would do like the fiber mesh tape. I mean, I know there's a million different.
Oh, you're a fiber tape guy.
I like the fiber. So fiber tape for seams.
Okay.
Fiber tape for like seams on like flat surfaces.
Yes.
And then I use
corners.
the paper for the corners. Yeah. Okay. And then obviously corner bead of some type for outside corners.
Yeah. Luckily, I have none of that. It's all inside corners.
Okay. Oh, I see what
you're saying. So why you don't pre-fill? You just jam fiber tape in there, call it a day?
I do the fiber tape and like what most people would consider the pre-fill at the same time.
Because it just would soak into go through the fiber tape, basically.
Exactly, because it's just like it's a mesh, right? So, right. And then you sand that, and then you do your finish coat over the top of that. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe I'll consider doing that. Because I was just going to get like some 45-minute or 90-minute mud to do the pre-fill.
Yeah, I would suggest you get the 90 unless you know what you're doing, because it doesn't really tend to usually last the full 90 minutes. And if you're going slow, you're going to want the extra working time.
So will it just completely kick in like your bucket? Like if you fixed up, it'll just be a rock.
You'll have a rock hard thing of plaster.
I've seen a lot of people just mix it in their pan. They mix it in their pan and then just keep mixing more and more in the pan.
Some people do that, yeah. Usually I'll mix like, I'll get like a 5-gallon bucket and I'll mix like, I don't know, 5 inches worth off the bottom or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe I'll give that a shot. But yeah, dude, this place, it's coming together. The shop looks totally different. Totally
exciting.
Different. And it's because it's connected. The garage is connected to the house. The temperature swing isn't that different. It's maybe 5 or 10 degrees cooler.
Is there a vent that lets air from the furnace into there or no?
There is not.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like the hugging the house, if you will, that's keeping it somewhat temperature control. But I ran all the electrical to like the service disconnect for the mini split and stuff. Dude, I didn't realize how expensive 8-2 wire is.
How much is it? Oh, that's pretty thick. How much is it?
It was $240 for like 125 feet. I could either buy a 25-foot roll or a 125-foot roll.
Yeah, so more than $1 a foot then, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I was like, this is something you can hang on to. Like you always have a thing of Romex around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You hang on to it. And like if we run a hot tub, like boom, I can run that surface disconnect. So
8-2 wire, eh? That's for the mini split. It pulls that many amps, huh?
35 amps.
Oh, okay, yeah. Damn, that's
so you're gonna give us a preview of the shop on the podcast?
Well, I mean, I can't run the computers here.
Well, not right now, but like on a future episode.
Oh yeah, I could probably do the whatchamacallit episode from the shop. I've been doing a bunch of like Patreon updates and stuff like that and showing people progress and whatnot. And I'll be doing a whole video on it as well, but yeah, it's getting there.
So can the mini split, that be, does that do hot as well as cold?
Yeah. It's one of the Mr. Cool things. So it does heating and air conditioning.
Okay, because the name is confusing. When you hear Mr. Cool, you think cool.
Right. I think it's technically a heat pump.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes the heat pumps, or sometimes you can reverse them and use it the opposite way. Sometimes you can't.
Now, I lied to Mr. Cool and told them that my shop was way bigger than it was because I wanted them to give me an overkill unit.
Oh, interesting. See, I heard you're not supposed to. In your defense, that will be my intuition as well. But some HVAC guy once told me that you actually shouldn't oversize. You should try to get it to the thing. But I don't, look, I would rather have an overkill air conditioner mini split than.
So I think my shop is like 480 square feet or something. And so one of the units said it worked up to like 525 square feet. So I was like, well, I'm pretty close. Yeah. So I went one up from that. I went to the one that works for like 800 or 900 square feet.
I would probably do the same thing if I were in your shoes, even though I know it's technically incorrect.
Yeah, I got I think the 24,000 BTU model or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, let me ask you this, because I don't know. Concrete pad, or I had them send me the wall mounting brackets.
Ooh.
Putting it on the wall. I kind of like the idea of like if it's on the wall.
Yeah.
It's
interesting. Okay, so I think basically you're trading off. You get more of your yard or around.
It's on the side of the house that we would never go to. It's by our trash and recycling cans.
Right. So I mean, it's kind of you get more space if you wall mount it, but then it's harder to service, I think, is the downside.
How often are you going to need to service it?
Yeah.
I don't know. And locating the studs from outside the house, I think, would be a challenge.
Oh, because it's clad, not brick.
True. I mean, you just did all the drywall, so you should know where they all are.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, it should be sheeted, or I don't know what's
it's
your
vinyl.
building sided. Yeah, so there should be plywood under there. But I guess if you're going to hang an air conditioner, you want it to be into the studs, not into just plywood.
Right.
Yeah,
it's probably what they sheath it with 5/8 OSB.
Should be. Well, hopefully not OSB, but probably.
But you know what I mean. The
yeah,
like the exterior sheathing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might just be easier. So I already have not concrete pads, but like large 12 by 12 pavers out where the trash and recycling bins are. So I considered just extending more pavers and just so it's one large cohesive thing. I don't know.
Suman makes a good point. He says, get it off the snow pile.
Oh.
Plus, you get better airflow, probably.
Yeah.
So even if it's just like a foot off the ground.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I wonder, though, would vibrations transmit through the wall?
That's my concern.
I assume the bracket's probably pretty heavy duty, but if there's no dampening in it, does it have a little like rubber feet or anything like that?
It does.
Okay, it might be okay then.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night,
Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to brush away the snow, I don't know. I might just throw it on the pavers on the ground. Then it's easy to service. You don't need the space.
You don't have to wall mount it.
Don't have to wall mount it. Simpler installation.
Yeah. I think that might be the move.
If you were more limited on space, like if you had a smaller backyard or it was like going to free up, make like a walkway more accessible or something like that, I'd say maybe wall mount it then. But it doesn't really sound like that's an issue for you.
No. I'll probably just put the pavers out. It's easier. Move on with your life. You're done.
Well, did you ask the guys at Mr. Cool if there's any advantage to it being wall mounted?
No.
No. Okay.
I just said send it to me just if I wanted it. I did get the line set covers though, so it's like a nice clean vinyl that like goes over like the lines and stuff like that coming out of the house. But yeah, so that's how the shop's going.
To work with, they want a full video from you.
So they initially pitched doing a full video, like a dedicated thing, but they ended up they're like, we'll just do a 60-second ad spot. I was like, all right.
Okay, because I could use a air conditioner in my shop, but I don't want to do a dedicated video. But I would be willing to do a 60-second ad read.
No, they took a 60-second for a very. I was very happy with what they landed on.
Okay.
Yeah, throw a pitch in with Influent. I'm sure you could figure something out.
Yeah.
But so I feel like the drywall work for me probably took the longest. I don't think the taping and mudding is going to take that long. I feel like you can go pretty quick on that.
To do it well takes a while.
No,
Depends how anal you want to get about it.
So it took me 2 days to put the drywall up.
Okay.
And that was also
you got
my first time ever doing it.
So that'll help.
Yeah.
Have you plastered before?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You'd probably be all right.
Yeah. So, and like I said, it's the garage. So if it's not perfect, it's not my living room.
Yes.
You're just going to show it in every video.
You're going to expose it to literally millions of people.
Oh, I know. Knowing me, I'm like, I should feather out these joints 30 inches.
Yeah. It's actually the drywall in my shop is not great because of that exact reason. I was like, it's a workshop. It doesn't matter that much.
How much primer you think a garage would take? Do you think 5 gallons is too much? 1 gallon not enough? Does primer soak in pretty good?
It well, the thing is, yeah, I would get the 5 gallon container, I think.
And just drench the thing in primer?
Just drench it, yeah.
Are you a multiple coats of primer over fresh drywall kind of guy?
I don't. It depends on the paint. Like if I was trying to, I think 1 coat would probably be sufficient. But also to roll a space like that is probably like a 30-minute job.
Oh yeah.
So if I did all the walls and I had still had half of my 5 gallon container left, I might just do a second coat.
That makes sense.
It'll make it so that when you go to apply the paint, you use less paint.
Yeah.
Because it'll really when you're applying it over bare wood or bare plaster and board like that, it's a sealer and not a primer at that point. So
right.
Yeah, you make it so that the paint doesn't soak in quite as much. It sits on the top.
I got one last question for you as a camera nerd.
Mm-hmm.
What color should I paint the shop?
Ooh, interesting question.
So when I put the drywall up, it's like it's like that real light gray color.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of like this color, but would white be good, or is white gonna make everything overexposed?
Well, the more white you have, the more you're gonna get out of your lights, essentially, right? Because a white wall is more reflective to light. It's gonna bounce light around your space.
Yeah.
So it's kind of up to you. Are you going to have all of your lights in place?
Yeah, on the ceiling. I've got 15 of those LED lights.
If I were you, I think honestly the difference between a light gray and a white is going to be pretty minimal.
Okay.
So I think for you, it would more come down to the aesthetic of your channel. Do you want it to be bright and white, or do you want it to be a little bit more mellow and kind of toned down a little bit?
I think I like the white. It just looks cleaner, I think.
Yeah. So there you go.
So it's not like everything's going to be unbelievably overexposed. I'm going to have to readjust camera settings in a new shop, obviously.
Yeah. I don't think you run much risk of it being crazy. And then if it is, you just grab a little ND filter and throw that on there, or stop down the aperture a little bit. But you're also going to have tools on the wall and stuff like that, right? So
yeah, there's going to be a lot of contrasting colors, like a big black table saw and all kinds of stuff like that. You're going to put cabinets up, and it's not just going to be a white box that you're working in.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay. So that's good to know. But yeah, so this, dude, the shop's it's slowly coming together. It's a lot of work to move and set this whole thing up.
Oh, I bet. Are you completely out of the old place now?
Yes. On October 11th was our final date.
Okay.
So we went through there, spackle little holes and stuff like that, and got out of there, and we're like, oh, thank God we're out of that place.
Yeah.
And
did it feel freeing to finally be it? Yeah, I bet.
Oh yeah, not to be constantly back and forth between places and all this kind of stuff. And that 2 or 3 days before we moved out, they sent out an email saying that they're now allowing people to rent their apartment on Airbnb. I was like, dear God,
got out of there at just the right time.
Okay, so you had the exact same reaction.
Yeah. There's it's funny. There's one condo in Toronto that allows. It's known to like allow Airbnbs. But one big condo building, and it's known. It's like people are like, you don't buy a condo there. You do not live there. It's like the whole tower has become like a party place. It's people like rent the rooms there, and trash them.
Yeah. It's I'll say it nicely. This apartment complex used to be very nice, and the clientele changed over the years.
Gotcha. Is it all rentals or is it condos? Like, did some people
it's all
own
rentals, apartments, no condos, no.
So they're allowing like subleasing then? So somebody could like rent a place from them and then put it up on Airbnb. I know people do that. So
yeah, but what's the perk in that for the apartment complex? Like they were like, we need to like review your listings and approve your listings and stuff. But like, do they get a cut of it?
Maybe they was there a lot of vacancy? Were they like, when you moved out, is there a lot of empty units?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, I would say there were units aplenty, but I wouldn't say it was empty by any means.
I'm going to put on my thinking man's cap here.
Okay.
Maybe they're looking to sell the building and they're looking to pad out the numbers before they sell it. They want to say to some other prospective investor, hey, this place is fully rented, no vacancy.
Oh.
And that might make it a lot more attractive for some institutional investor to come up and snap it up without doing the due diligence to know that half of them are Airbnbs now.
That makes sense.
Disclose that.
And I look, real estate people aren't the world's worst people. It's all up to client to verify is like the key word that they put in ads.
Yeah, I know that. I got buddies that do a bunch of rental homes and stuff like that, and I know they make good money on it. But like, to hear the hassle and the stories that you hear from these people, I'm like, dear God.
Yeah.
I had
my idea of a good time.
One of my buddies was renting out a house, and long story short, the guy that moved in was a registered sex offender, so that they then had to like, tell the whole neighborhood or whatever.
Sure.
So then online, it basically, because my buddy owned the house, right? Yep. It basically came up that my buddy was a sex offender.
Funny.
Because he owned the house. Right. And I was
like,
geez.
Yeah.
But obviously he got it all situated and sorted out. But like, oh my God, that's the last thing I'd want to deal with. But
Eric. We lost Eric right as I think he was about to suggest that we end the show and go over.
Oh wait, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. What I do, I don't know. I lost my segue. What I do want to something. I don't know. We want to thank our returning top tier patrons before we head over the after show. We've got Joe Welsh at Delaware Valley Workshop, Goblin Spanker, Corey Duvall, Josh at Sawdust Builds, and maybe Dadu, depending on if he figures out.
Oh, there he is. Nope.
No, he's gone. He's back. He's back. He's gone. No one knows. But those are just some of our returning patrons helping us keep the lights on, and they get access to the after show as well as all of our other patrons. So we're going to head over to patreon.com/offthecutpodcast and jump in the after show.
The dogs. That's what I call them.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you, everybody.